P. Nagaraj, and having heard from him, I know he is a very profound personality, a very thoughtful, voracious reader, and his academic contributions, he has done immense contributions to academia. And by the way he has adjudicated the thesis, it was apparent the amount of time and efforts that sir has taken for this reading the thesis. And it was, you know, he has been very patient throughout the process. He has submitted the report a year back, but as I said, due to the other administrative reasons, we had to extend it until here. He has been very kind enough in delivering us the dates, in giving us the dates. Had it been not been this pandemic, scenario, sir would have been here, and he was about to come over here for conducting the Viva few months back, but everything has changed because of this pandemic. I'm really glad that sir has adjudicated the thesis of my scholar, and I welcome you here, sir. Next, I would like to welcome my fellow colleagues. I hope they have joined here. Dr. B. Padmanabhan, Dr. David Arpudraj, Dr. Vinod Kumar, and Dr. Kasirajan. They have been with us throughout everything. I mean, everything we work together as a department, and I'm really glad that they have joined the Viva Voce examination. I welcome you all here. And of course, I must acknowledge the research scholars. They have been helping him, supporting the scholar throughout. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all the research scholars and all the first year and second year students of the department. Welcome you all here. And to speak a few words about this particular research, his study is on the psychoanalytic perspectives on literature, on Toni Morrison's select works. Of course, literature and psychology are inseparable, and this is not anything new. That of course, there are a lot of previous research perspectives, research studies that has been undertaken on literature and psychology. Yet, I was convinced for the amount of effort that the research scholar has taken, and the involvement, more than anything, his involvement and the authenticity of the research work was very convincing to me. So I'm sure that all of you will be able to get a better understanding of his research through his presentation, and we will be able to have a very productive discussion to the end of the session. So once again, I am extremely happy to welcome you all here, and I request our head of the department, Dr. Nagaraj, to deliver a few words before we hand over the session to our external examiner. Over to you, Nagaraj, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashitha Varghese. Really happy to have my friend, Professor Praveen Ansuman. I think, after a very long span of time, I had myself oriented towards Professor Praveen during one of the orientation program, and I knew him, as his contribution to the academics, by his way of his writings, and his contribution, I know, almost all over India, people are well aware of his contributions with respect to language and literature. And he runs a journal, and the thought process, whenever he comes out with any sort of writing, particularly his own publications, I know for sure, the reflection and ideology of the Osho Rajneesh, the takeoff, such is the critical way, he works out his principles, because I think he is a hardened disciple of Osho Rajneesh, and and it's quite natural that his the thought process of Osho Rajneesh would automatically influence any personalities who are in into such kind of an ideology. So I happened to go through the report of the professor, what he had given, and I could sense that by the report, by the evaluation and the adjudication of the document, I could see that he had went through thoroughly, the whole the document, and his observation on the whole of the document is really critical, and I know for sure, he's going to have a few questions for clarifications once the scholar does his presentation. So really happy to welcome my good friend, Professor Praveen Hansman. I welcome you, sir, on my behalf and from the Department of English as well. Really happy. If not the pandemic context, I would have had you here by way of academic collaboration as well. Like, I think, the pandemic context will get over very soon. And I'm very sure that we will be collaborating a lot with the academics as well. So thank you so much for accepting and evaluating documents and and to be a resource person for the Department of English.
Thank you, sir.
Bharathiar University. I welcome you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now I request Praveen sir to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
So thank you so much. I am very happy to be invited, but I'm not so happy, but there is no other way than to be online over here, because I had a great communication with Professor to visit Bharathiar University once again. And because the time that was spent over there for a month was great in my life. I cherish all those moments, especially the lectures that were delivered by Professor Nagaraj. And intermittently, we have a conversation over some issues. He is also a reviewer in my journal. So we have a great talk regarding so many academic issues. And he has a great affection towards, because of which I had a chance to evaluate the Nurul Hasan. It's just a formality, today's Viva. Otherwise, I have submitted my report, and it's a wonderful work. But also is a wonderful task taken into consideration, and a great work is here before us, just before me. So far as I know, that the process followed is that Nurul is expected to give a visit. Dr.Ashitha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He will be presenting.
He will be presenting. So I would be requesting Nurul to give a brief idea about the work that he has conducted under the title "The Search for Self in the Select Novels of TONI MORRISON, a Psychological Study." The key issues, and I have something in my mind. And if there would be any other questions, they will also be welcome. And then after, definitely we are going to congratulate him as well as the research scholar. So Nurul, please begin with your presentation. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Please unmute, and I hope your presentation is ready as well. You can share your screen.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Is it audible now? Hello?
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Good morning to all of you. And I personally welcome you. And I appreciate for your patience and for having shown your interest in attending my Viva today. So, my thesis, the present work, the present research actually is an attempt on the title, that is The Search for Self in the Select Novels of TONI MORRISON, a Psychological Study. Before stepping into the origin of study, I just want to, give some facts and figures based on which I have done my research. Actually, the reason behind choosing this particular topic is exactly 12 years back when I was doing my post-graduation at New College, Chennai. I first studied the text of Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own, and very next month, another work by William Faulkner, Faulkner's text, to which I was closely acquainted and I was closely engrossed to. And I can say with a strong feeling that that was the stepping stone of my research, research journey. So after reading the text of Virginia Woolf, I just had a strong idea about the narrative technique she used in developing the characters. And even the William Faulkner's also sailing in the same boat, perhaps. And these people were well known for the narrative technique called, stream of consciousness. So later on, I had a kind of I was groping in the dark in search of a literary work which should have the same narrative technique. At the same time, it should be in the period of modernism and postmodernism. Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Postmodernism. So, yeah. So what? And then during my final year MA and again in my MPhil, I studied a work of Toni Morrison. First, the debut work of her, The Bluest Eye, and incessantly the second work I read, and after that I read Delivered. So after having read all these work work of Toni Morrison, I just had, a kind of an idea that why shouldn't I, do my research under the same author. So on the recommendation of my research guide in MPhil, Dr. Ashitha sir, I chose Toni Morrison's 3 important works to redefine with a comparative study. So I took The Bluest Eye, Sula, and Beloved. So at the time itself, in fact, I decided to continue my research with a different perspectives. So after having approximately 7 years of gap, I started the program in 2013. Now I'm completing actually. But somehow in the span of this 7 years of gap approximately, to some extent I could come to a conclusion that I have to continue my research journey in the same author by adding few more work which is relevant to my research area. So if I talk about the origin of my study in brief, this is actually comes under American literature. It is a product, it is a sub-product of American literature, which started with the publication of the first work by Phyllis Wheatley in the year 1773. And the title of the book was The Poem of Various Subjects, Religious and Morals. That was the first work done in America. And from there on, a lot of people actually shown their interest in expressing their ideas. So if we talk about the important themes which actually capturing the narrative, the slave narratives are 3. The first one is the exposition of identity issues. The next one is the condemnation of colorism as well as racism, and finally the celebration of Afro-American culture. So that was the main important theme that we can easily track from the autobiographies of the writers actually who lived in the 20th century in the 1920s. So after the Harlem Renaissance, that gave a kind of boom to the black literature. And when we, I can say that Neil Huston, Virginia Woolf, and Hugs, all these people actually contributed a lot to the black literature. And for instance, The Color Purple by Virginia Woolf was the best work, published ever in the 20th century. After the movement, okay, civil rights movement of 1965, that also actually paved a way for many Black writers to expose themselves through their writing. Okay, so in their works, they had a voice for the equality. They actually expressed their idea of enjoying the freedom, and they actually voiced against the concept of segregation and so on. And after that, if you have a look on the title of my thesis with deep contemplation, The Search for Self in the Select Novels of Toni Morrison, a Psychological Study. So the first half of the title actually speaks about the self. The self is the sense of what you are and who you are, and that is depicted in almost all the works of the Toni Morrison. In the lifetime of Toni Morrison, she has actually wrote the total 12 novels and 5 children's work and 5 non-fictions. But I have taken just 5 works, were very selective works for the present study. The reason behind selecting these 5 works, which I found to be closely associated, closely relevant to each other, to understand and grasp the concept of self in that. So I just go to the next page. So after having read the text of selected novels, I just came to this particular hypothesis, which I found that this will give a solution for my problem and finding. So psychological approach assumed to be fit in understanding the psyche of characters employed in the set novels whose state of mind is in search of self. See, we can simply read the text. We can just have an understanding of the character just by reading for the reading's sake. But when it comes to the research point of view, we have to go deep into the mind of the character to understand the psyche of the character. When we understand the psyche of the character, which means we have understood the real character in the real sense. So that was the main idea, and that was the main reason I have applied and correlated the selected text with the theoretical approach. So psychological theories of Sigmund Freud supposed to be the right tool in judging the works chosen for the present study. This perception is my personal. What I felt by applying the theories of Sigmund Freud, I could read the characters in a real sense. That is my perception, and that is my idea that Sigmund Freud theories are closely connected to the present work select to the research. So when we talk about the views of Sigmund Freud about the self, he actually bifurcates the concept of self into 3 different types. For instance, conscious self, unconscious self, and pre-conscious self. So this conscious self, it is very clear that it plays a very important, very vital role in the day-to-day life, where we are aware that what we are doing and what we are speaking. And the second thing is unconscious, which is actually taking place in the subconscious mind, to which we have no direct contact with. And after the pre-conscious is a kind of thing which can be brought into conscious mind easily. For instance, suppose someone is asking you your address. Will you give it direct, straight away, take a pen and jot down the address on the paper? Normally it happens. We actually get connected to it from the source of information, somewhere from the, from the mind, from the nook and corner of the mind. We just write it down easily. So these are the different perceptions the Freud has about the self. So when it comes to the unconscious self, this is the basis, this is the basic idea on which he actually proposed many mechanisms in the sense he proposed many theories which actually about the behavior of a person, okay, where a person actually takes himself away from it, takes it back and keep himself from the unpleasant situation, unpleasant event and actions. So that's the reason in almost all the works of the selected novels, these people have a chaos in their life. They faced a lot of challenges in their life, psychologically, sociologically, and even physically. So that's the main reason I just correlated this concept, these mechanisms. Is actually this Sigmund Freud proposed 12 different mechanisms, but I have taken only 5 mechanisms which I found to be relevant to my part of work. All right. So here I can say one more thing. Here we have the research gap. In future, people, if they are interested in research in the same area, they can even correlate the remaining theories, which is actually not taken into account in this present study. So therefore, there is the need to address the actual psychological transformations that occurs in the personas of the select novel and the term self in a real sense. So the peeping into the mind of the people is the actual method to understand them. Excuse me. So these are the research questions which actually fulfills the requirement of the present study. See, if shape under the shadows of self. To answer this question, if I answer for this question, I'll be reaching towards this, finding. I'll be reaching to the problem which I have counted here, which I have traced here. And the second question is relevant to the problem is how identity issues are expressed, conducted, and negotiated through the psyche of the character. See, as far as MORRISON's narrative technique concerned, she used a different type of narrative technique. In fact, she herself actually presented a work on Virginia Woolf and William Faulkner in her post-graduation thesis. And that has reflected in her entire career, whatever she has presented to, as in the form of fiction. So she actually used the deliberate fragmentation of text, and she also have presented the characters in the multifaceted manner. All right. So these are the techniques she used in her narrative, and that's the reason she stands quite, quite unique in front of her contemporary writers who lived somewhere in the 1960s and 70s when she had a high time, and that was the time she did a debut in 1970 with the publication of the first work, The Bluest Eye. So how the psychological approach reveals the impact of internal and external conflicts of the characters in the select novels. See, the internal conflict of the character reveals you what they are in a real sense. So what is the uniqueness of MORRISON in representing and interpreting the migrant experience under the shadow of race and class consciousness? This particular last question actually is completely associated to the point which I just mentioned, that she had a different narrative technique. All right, I just want to go to the next slide. So here, though I have taken a very few reviews in this particular slide, but these works, these reviews are directly connected to the present study. So I just want to mention the first work which I actually correlated with my part of research is the search for self and place within the community as an article presented by Patrick Bryce Job in 1992 in his dedicated work, The Novels of TONI, MORRISON. So this here, if I highlight certain things, which is the which can fulfill the nook and corner of the questions of this present study. Here, he focuses mainly on culture and customs in the select novels of Morrison, and the combination of works he's taken is quite different from the combination of work which I have chosen in the present study. He's chosen Blessed, Sula, Song of Solomon, Beloved, and Tar Baby. And he also explores how tradition of one community influences the search of self and place within a community. And then he also investigates historical and ideological aspects of African American community while offering in-depth critical analysis of each select novels. And he also reveals the tactics, the methodology of Morrison's writing in reconstructing the African American values, traditions, and beliefs. And he actually opened the eyes of the black figures to how to open the eyes of the black figures and made them realize their real importance, their values, their self-esteem in their own society. And after that, if I mention about the second work to which I gave a lot of attention is the theory of Zora Ramin. She was a research scholar, published a particular article in the publication titled "The Social." He correlated the social identity theory in Toni Morrison's Sula. So. So, if we give a focus on Zora Ramin's work, she published in the International Journal of Women. According to her, self is equally psychological. From her perspective, I came to the conclusion that self is really a matter of psychology, and social and nature. And neither it is completely social nor psychological, indeed. And so every person is prone to society. In fact, it is really practical that no one can detach himself from the society, because society is the actual identity for the person. The society is something which actually identifies an individual person. So to substantiate the idea of Zora Ramin, she actually employs the social identity theory of Henry Tatchell, a Jewish social psychologist. He was well known for his social identity theory. He bifurcated an individual identity into two different types, that is social identity and personal identity. And he considers social links influences identity and molds the personality. What he says that society is something which actually molds the personality, and identity is a matter of ego state that closely connected to the personality. All right, and that is what even the Sigmund Freud also said, that personality is a amalgamation of ego and superego. And here, Zora Ramin investigates the identity formation of Sula and sees it as an anti-racial novel. Its black characters become a scapegoat in the oppressive, racially structured society. This is actually his perspective. And after that, discover the story of the identity of Afro-Americans in
Yes, sir. Noorul Hasan, sir. Please listen to Praveen, sir. Yeah.
May I request you to directly come to the findings of your research?
Yes, sir.
Findings of your research. Talk about that for 10 minutes, then we will have interaction.
Yeah. So in the findings of the study, the search for self found to be the main goal observed from the psyche of characters played a significant role in structuring the bottom line idea of the novel, of the select novels. So if I just go back to the work selected, if you give a deep contemplation on the characters of the works chosen, this particular finding actually very much suited. The second finding is the sense of longing for self is not just restricted to only female figures, but also is found to be a kind of common craving springs out of every black figure irrespective of gender. So Morrison actually, she has depicted not just the black figure, but also she has depicted the male figure as well, to correlate the issue of self. And it is very clear by instilling the sense of self in the heart and soul of the black figures, Morrison actually acts like a mouthpiece for the black community, because she's the one who was the an architecture in the creation of a new technique and a creation of a new language, suitable for her own community. So from the characters' view, through the lenses of psychoanalytical theory, if we see, we can easily understand that Morrison have instilled the sense of self in the hearts and souls of the black figure, irrespective of gender, and she also acts like a mouthpiece for the black community to strengthen their confidence and passion to live a life of freedom and equality in the patriarchal society without compromising this so-called self. I am here, the patriarchal society means a society dominated by majoritarian white culture. So this is where these characters actually had a kind of clash, and they suffered a lot in all aspects, and somehow they went on searching for their self-identity. That's all, sir. And is there any? Thank you, sir. And one more thing after the finding, these are the relevance of the study. Actually, I have figured out from my point of view that how actually it reflects the it reflects the reader, or it reflects the person actually who's inspired research. So black women can be an inspiring figure for Indian women also to enjoy the equality and freedom in the Indian society. So when we go back to the history and understand from the past that in what are the situations and atmospheres these people have suffered, and we can understand to some extent and correct ourselves in. Next one is historical facts and autobiographical elements from the present study opens the eyes of people to realize the past experience of black figures. So in fact, as far as the Morrison's narrative concerned, she has actually mixed the history with the fantasy. The realism, she has blended the realism with the fact, with the fantasy, to express the very issue of self and identity. And finally, the acquired knowledge from the present study can safeguard the self of the people from the cultures of discrimination prevailing in the society. So only by acquiring knowledge, we can realize that what is our status and what is our value in the society where we are living. Is that okay, sir? Or I should go back to the works selected for the research and give a brief explanation about the select works.
This is fine. Don't worry. Thank you for the nice presentation. Your findings are, to me, very satisfactory, and a few inquiries and few inquisitiveness I have in mind, because the first thing that I would like to suggest you, because that I could never know while reading your thesis, is the pronunciation of the word or the name Sigmund Freud. It is not Freud.
Yeah.
It is Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, okay, sir.
So because
we often actually get confused when pronouncing the people.
Whenever you are confused, Google it, and on YouTube you'll find the pronunciation of every word.
Okay, sir. Okay, yeah.
The second thing, I have an inquiry, because whenever there is something, though I think, so far as my memory goes with your evaluation of your thesis, that you have not discussed the spiritual or the esoteric aspect of self, because whenever the idea of self comes into existence, the authors have elucidated this very particular term with the means you yourself have discovered it with reference to biological, psychological, say, socio means I think in the socio-cultural aspect you have also explored in your thesis. But whenever the word the self comes into existence, into consideration, automatically the idea of esoteric dimension comes in. So my question to you would be, though it is not related to your thesis because you seem to not to have worked upon that, means while working through the 5 novels that you have chosen by Toni Morrison, did you come across something that will let you understand the idea of self in connection with spiritual, in connection with its spiritual connotation? Did you come across about that?
Yes, sir. Actually, to some extent, I can particularize 2 important characters in the story here.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, the mother of the Choli. The mother of the Choli was quite spiritual and pious, and though she lives in a society, in a patriarchal society, where there is a lot of domination of both the white men and the black men, and there is a lot of chaos in the relationship between these black figures. She acted like a mother figure to teach these characters to how to be in the society. And on the other side, I can also point out one more figure who is religiously connected to who is religiously connected. So when we talk about Celine, the grandmother of Helene, who actually on whose control she got brought up, so religious and so pious that actually reflected even in the attitude and in the life of Hannah, who actually believes in the a conventional system of family, whereas Hannah is completely different. She is not actually regarding the conventional system and lives a life of freedom. So the religious aspects of these characters have impacted deeply in the other characters.
Okay. Actually, I have deliberately questioned this. I have deliberately put this question before you, because when you're talking about self, so many people in the world, religious people and spiritual people and the literary people have talked about this, and particularly when you are bringing the Indian Dalit literature into the scenario onto the forefront when compared to the African American literature. So the main thrust area of these literature is to find equality, is to find parity, harmony in the society. And this harmony can only be restored unless you have gone deeper into yourself and understood that we are many different waves of the same ocean. And ocean has always been considered to be, if you have read some poetry of Kabir Das, you'll find that ocean is always deemed to be something, a symbol, that we all are ocean, and in the waves we flow. And all those differences, it is a black difference or being a Dalit, means all kinds of differences are there on the waves. Inside the ocean, all are one. So unless the discovery of self is injected and penetrated to the extent that the soul is discovered, it is not going to be complete. What I mean to say, are you working somewhere as an assistant professor?
Sir, I'm a PG assistant working at the school and taking classes for higher secondary actually. But before
okay, so I wish you a great success in life. You be in the higher studies
for about 6.5 years as an assistant professor.
Good. So this aspect is very important as far as the study of self is concerned, and this may be taken forward by you, or as you have already done on Toni Morrison's work. So this may be forward, and you may start letting your PhD student do on conduct a research on this.
Definitely.
So one more inquiry with regard to this. You have written somewhere in your thesis about home is both it is and it is not America, or it is and it is not Africa. What do you mean? Can you please elaborate on it? Home is both. Home is both. It is and is not America.
Yes,
it is and it is not Africa.
The concept of home is the actual theme in almost in the narrative, in the Black narratives. The theme that home is the most important theme in the Black narratives. See, these Black narratives, they actually forcibly brought into America, and in 1684, around 150 people were brought into the port of Philadelphia, and that was the first, a major migration took place in the ship called Isabella. That was the first beginning of the story. Actually starts about the Black community. These people were brought forcibly, and later on, many people actually became orphaned, and many people lost their family members in this migration. So one part of the family lived, beyond the Atlantic Ocean, and some actually reached to the American continent. So wherever they lived, their voice actually had a kind of craving towards self-only. So they did not have any kind of feeling actually, whether they were there in their homeland or they were in the land where they were forcibly brought in. So the concept of the home is actually a sense of belongingness. It is a kind of an identity. It's a kind of privacy. So when it comes to the matter of privacy, if you have a look on the 5 works, it is greatly lacking. And these people became a scapegoat, and these people actually lost their homeland and became a prey in the clutches of slavery. So wherever they were, but for them it is actually one week.
Okay. Yeah. The last question from my side. You have written somewhere in your thesis that Morrison, through her novels, presents a non-linear African-American socio-historical reality, fragmented by a historical past of disconnection and ruptures. Could you please elaborate?
Sorry, sir?
Could you please elaborate the line written by you in your thesis? And the line is, Morrison, through her novels, presents the non-linear African-American socio-historical reality, fragmented by a historical past of disconnections and ruptures.
Okay. So this line actually I can justify with the views of Charles R. Johnson in his novel. Actually, in his novel Adhering Tale, he condemns openly about the Alice Walker's depiction of black men in a negative way. And also I can correlate the same thing with the word apparatus actually used in the battle for Black political and social freedom by Joe Webb Boyce in a dilemma of double consciousness. So here, Morrison actually portrayed the black character in its actual shading. Neither she actually put this character down to the earth, nor she actually exaggerated the characters to the extent that which can be compared with the other counterpart of the continent. So, from this line, which we have mentioned, is something which is connected to the clarification, which I have given to you now.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this nice presentation. From me, it's done. I congratulate you, your supervisor and head of the department, to have a wonderful thesis presentation and to become a doctorate. If there is any question, they may be asked by the supervisor herself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And if there are any questions from the audience.
Excuse me, I'm not getting the voice in my ear. Why is so?
Noorul Hasan, sir, kindly mute yourself so that you'll be able to get the questions clear. Yes, any questions from any of the participants and the faculty members of the department?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Vinod, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Dr. Afzal Ali Beg, Principal of Ali Muhammad Saleh College of Engineering from Chennai.
You're welcome.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, from my side, I don't have any specific question on your work. So let me congratulate, first of all, to you and to your guide for successfully completing. As your examiner rightly said, identify the self in you and try to share the universal values with the students with whom you are going to be. They are our future generation. I once again congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the faculty members of the department?
Yes, ma'am.
Vinod, sir. Yes, sir.
First, congrats, sir. You have done a good presentation on your research. My question is, why do you want to do the research on this particular area, sir? Why did you do the research on this particular area? Is there any specific reason behind your research, sir?
Yeah, this is actually an extension of the work which I have already done in my MPhil, sir, actually. And the work which I studied in my UG that inculcated a kind of interest towards the identity issues, towards the self issues. That actually sort of sow a seed of interest in me, which in turn forced me to select these novels and of Toni Morrison.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vinod, sir.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the students, research scholars of the department? Students, first years and second years. Nagaraj, sir, would you like to reflect? Yes, sir. Nagaraj, sir.
If no questions, you can conclude. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Praveen, sir. So over to you, sir. You are supposed to conclude the discussion. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to conduct this Viva successfully. I congratulate the supervisor. I congratulate Nurul, and I congratulate the department, the head of the department, to have a wonderful thesis in their account and a wonderful scholar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And, really happy, the way you had conducted the examination and
Thank you so much.
explained your observation as well.
Thank you.
So all the observations that you had given, really, I think the scholar would take it very seriously. If we want to go for publications on. So really happy that I think I'm just waiting for the pandemic time to get over, and we'll have my friend in the department as well, and hope that we would collaborate the academic.
Nurul, one suggestion from my side: if Nurul, when you would be publishing this in the form of book, you may get in touch with me. I would ask the same to the supervisor, because I would suggest some of the things which need to be revised in this.
Definitely.
In the book form.
Definitely, sir. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Okay. So may I take your leave now?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate the way you have conducted the Viva. I mean, literally carried away by the way you have received this work. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Looking forward to meet you again.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And yes, Noorul Hasan, sir, you can deliver the vote of thanks.
I just want to thank my supervisor, Dr. Ashitha Varghese, and the co-guide, Dr. Nagaraj Reddy, sir. And indeed, today's examiner, Dr.PRAVEEN Anushkumar, sir, for conducting this exam without, with a lot of interest. And really appreciate, all of you, those who have participated in this, and to particularize the people who have shown interest in attending this meeting is, my correspondent of the school, Dr. Rizwanullah sir, and my head of the institution, Misha sir, my all colleagues, and of course, Professor Jamil Ahmed sir, who was the rector of the MGR University and the principal of Tandai Periyar University, actually. And I have to thank from the depth of my heart to Dr. Anwar Sadat sir and Dr. Naresh sir, who sowed a seed of wisdom in me in the initial stage of my research. And I also thank the Bashir sir, who is the principal of the new college at Chennai. I thank Dr. Afzal Ali Bey, who actually who helped me to register this course. And today, and it is really great that he joined me while completing this work. And I'm really grateful to you, sir. And my mom, Jabin, Seema Jabin, and my brother, Dr. Muhammad Hassan, assistant professor, Islamia College, Wanembadi, my sister Saida, my brother-in-laws, Rafi Muhammad Rafi and Sheikh Munir, my sister Shama, and my friends Tanveer, Zakir, and Niza, Nazim, and all my friends, my colleague Yunus, and everybody who have great interest in attending this program. I also thank my former my head, Rafiq Ahmed sir, for taking part in this meeting, and I also thank all the scholars who helped me a lot in the preparation of this Viva. And I thank each and every scholar and every.
And Noorul Hasan sir, you need to acknowledge the faculty members are also here. They have joined.
Faculty members of the English Department of English, Bharathiar University, for their great for the great interest in attending this program. And I also thank my professors from the alma mater, Islamia College, my new college, Dr. Anwar Sadat, and everybody, Bharathiari, everybody. I thank everybody and all the teaching community who have taken who gave their precious time to listen to my presentation today. And I bless you, and I wish you all a healthy and prosperous life. And it is a kind of wish that comes and springs out from the depth of my heart. And more particularly, I have to thank my first guy, Dr. Radhika, who actually started the journey. And later on, it was continued with the support of Dr. Ashitha Varghese ma'am and Dr. Nagarajan sir, who helped me, without having a second thought. And for that, I'm completely indebted, and definitely I'm not going to forget them, because they supported me in a very critical situation when I was groping in the dark in search of a suitable person to guide me. And when I joined under the guidance of these people, they gave me a lot of basic ideas to accomplish my work. And really, I thankful everybody of you who are present today. And I thank my my spouse, Saima Afin, who is not available due to this pandemic reason. My children, Aisha, Diba, and Anaya, all because of their support. Today I'm able to complete this research work successfully. And I also want to mention mention those people whose name I have forgot, whose name I have not mentioned here, and I thank them from the depth of my heart for joining me in this presentation today. Thank you, thank you so much, and God bless you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you all the participants for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, thank you. And how to end this? Is it recorded? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rafiq sir. Thank